Oh, here we go. We're just chatting. Welcome back. Our next guest just won the title of Best Hardcover Novel for his book Spilled Blood, and now author Brian Freeman puts one of his most recognizable and beloved characters back into action.
That's right. This is the newest book called The Cold Nowhere, and we couldn't think of anyone better to help us interview a mystery writer than bringing in a mystery critic, Miss Carol Barrelman.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Excited, right?
I am very excited. We were chatting in the green room. I love Brian as an author, but I am really in love with his character, Jonathan Stride.
Yeah, you brought him back, right?
Finally, yeah. It's been a couple years now, so people have been demanding to have Stride back.
What do you like about his book and the character?
Well, first of all, he writes amazing psychological suspense, but I have to say, I love the relationship between character and place. I think one of the things Brian does really well, the Stride books generally are set in the North Shore of Superior, and I think that the lake shapes who Stride is. Plus his name. He strides across the mysteries.
Yeah,
he
that's
strides
pretty cool.
across the land.
Okay, so you're a teacher. Would you give him an A?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
How about it?
I like it.
Yeah.
Especially Cold Nowhere. I think it's one of the best books because it's got a much more intimate storyline than has been usual. And we were laughing in the green room because, and maybe you can talk a little bit about this, there are two women characters and you're either Team Serena or Team Maggie.
Yeah, that's right. Those are the two women in Stride's life, and never the twain shall meet among readers. They want Stride to either hook up with Serena or hook up with Maggie, and they get very persnickety about which ones. So.
I'm Team Serena.
You're Team Serena? You got a team member?
I am Team Serena.
Okay. So this one is set where? It's on the North Shore.
Yes,
is it
this one's set in Duluth. Yes.
In Duluth. Yeah. So Minnesota, and you write a lot about Wisconsin and Minnesota in particular, these kind of cold states. Why is that?
You know, I'm a Midwestern boy at heart, and we've got lots of great crime writers out there that do books set in, you know, big cities like Miami and LA and Chicago, and I really wanted to do more, you know, northern crime fiction, more outdoors, more rural, more small towns. So.
Set up the plot in this book for us.
Jonathan Stride gets back to his cottage out on Park Point in Duluth late one night, and he finds this teenage girl hiding in his bedroom closet. She's soaking wet, wrapped in a blanket, and she says someone's trying to kill her. And that's how things get started.
Okay. My cousin lives in Duluth. I think a lot of people know someone who lives in or has vacationed in Duluth. This is a great gift for people like that. Even, can you jump into this book if you haven't read the other 5, because there's 6 in this series?
Yeah, I write them very carefully so you can dive in anywhere.
I would attest to that too. Yeah. And Brian has also got a wonderful book that I reviewed a few years ago, The Bone House, is that?
Yes, that's right.
That's set in Door County. And
I
think
I think you did it here.
We did it here. And that's one of my favorite books of mysteries of all time. And it's a fabulous, suspenseful, psychological fiction.
Well, I like to take these wonderful places and turn them into hotbeds of serial killers and violence.
I always thought that was true about Door County.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Let's talk about graveyard graffiti.
Oh, the graffiti graveyard in Duluth.
Yeah.
It is this tucked away place between the interstates of North and South 35 in Duluth, and you have to sort of go down into this little creek and climb up this ladder to get inside, and then it's more than a mile of graffiti art painted on the inside of the interstate. So
It's really interesting.
Fascinating place. I actually had a Duluth police officer that helped me find it, and as soon as I saw it, I knew, oh, this has got to have a major place in the next book.
Well, that's neat. So you go and you do research in some of the places. Is that typical of all your books?
Yeah, I really like to capture kind of a you are there feel for the reader, that you've been dropped down into the middle of every scene and you can really feel it happening around you. And the best way for me to do that is to actually go there and kind of soak up the atmosphere myself.
Do you have to be a little bit off to write good psychological suspense?
Well, my wife certainly thinks so.
She's still alive. Okay. How many other wives have you had that gone missing?
Or been poisoned to death?
You have to tell the story about your first book, Immoral, and the doctor's story, because that is very funny.
You have to feel sorry for my mom. I mean, she'd been waiting just as long as I had for my first book to be published. And it comes out and it's called Immoral, you know. So, well, she was telling everyone they had to read my book. And she told her doctor this at the clinic. And sure enough, he went and bought a copy of Immoral and read it and loved it. He wanted to make sure he remembered to tell her this the next time she came in for an appointment. So he wrote Immoral on a Post-it note, put it in her file. Well, the next time she came into the clinic, she wound up seeing a different doctor who was looking at her very strangely the entire time. Well, the next time she saw her regular doctor, he comes into the office laughing. Apparently, this other doctor had come to him after the appointment and said, "Why did you put that note in her file? She seems like such a nice woman."
that's a great story.
really
And
good.
what's one of the things that I've often said, and I think it's a great title for a book, is that mysteries are the most moral of genres, because every mystery in some way has to have the reader engage with a kind of a moral dilemma, an issue of good or bad, or responsibility or not be responsible. And do you think that people in Minnesota are more into those kinds of issues? Because there are a lot of Minnesota crime writers.
Well, I mean, there's certainly that wonderful moral component to mysteries, but in Minnesota, I just think it's the winters. I mean,
That's what I said. I said, you're
That's
holed
what I
up.
think.
what are you
That's
going
what
to
I
do
think.
except sit inside and think dark thoughts? I mean, that's
That's exactly. You think about how can you kill whoever created snow.
yeah. There were a lot of fictional killings going on this winter. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Well, you've got
thank
two.
you so much.
Yeah, you've got two book signings coming up that we'll give you the information on, so you can head out and get your copy of The Cold Nowhere today at 5 o'clock at Mystery One on Prospect, or also tonight at 7 o'clock at Boswell Book Company right on Downer. You can get your copy of The Cold Nowhere from Brian Freeman. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. Really nice to meet
That
you.
is
Yes.
the other name for Minnesota.
Yeah, The Cold
Cold
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Yeah, for sure. Great to have you
Tundra.
join us, too. Thanks for sticking
thanks
around.
for letting
Oh,
me.
we got to give him a bag.
We got to give
Oh,
him a
Reduce,
absolutely.
reuse,
Yeah,
recycle.
yeah.
There you
Excellent,
go.
excellent.
There you go, Brian.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
All right, welcome.